It looked like the referee took a little bit of convincing. He had a good look at it at the monitor, which is absolutely fine. But are you happy that it was such a wrong decision that it needed reversing? Because some people still think, even though there was a touch, it was still a penalty. Are you happy that it was almost like clear and obviously enough to reverse the decision?
Yeah, I am. I mean, you know, we work with referees' call. It's an important principle in the Premier League where the call will be made on the field by the referee. It'll only get overturned if, when the VAR looks at the footage, he sees no reason at all to support the decision. There's no mix of considerations. It's a clear error. In this one, when you see Pope reach out with that foot, play the ball cleanly before making any contact with the opponent. In fact, he doesn't really make contact with the opponent. They come together as a normal consequence of that clean challenge by Pope. The referee hadn't recognised that touch. That was important. The VAR saw it and deemed it was a clear error. I agree with the VAR's intervention, so the referee can go to the screen, look at the full sequence, see that touch, see that there was a normal playing action by Pope, and the penalty was rightly cancelled.
Here we have Howard Webb lying through his back teeth once again, and I've got to put this into quotations, because if I don't, the PGMOL will contact me again, threaten me with legal action. But the way I'm interpreting this, again, is we tried to rob Arsenal. The way I'm hearing this is we want to cheat Arsenal. The way I'm interpreting this is we are lying, quotations here, we are lying through our back teeth. We tried to rob Arsenal and we're being exposed. And they're about to be exposed. And let me just preface this, in case you're a rival of Arsenal or you're a gooner that doesn't like excuses, this isn't about Arsenal per se, because I've called out and made the same claims when they've made horrendous decisions against the that have gone against the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City, my own club, Manchester United. I do not believe there is an out and outright conspiracy against one club. I've never made this claim. I'm not stating that today. But in this particular instance, there is something not right. And the lies, the barefaced lies from Howard Webb must be exposed. And if you care about football, if you care about this game, we cannot stand here, sit here, lie here, have our bellies rubbed anymore and accept this utter nonsense. Now, before we go into these clips, let me just say this. You may think it isn't a penalty because of the touch. This isn't about your opinion. This isn't about my opinion on what we think is right or wrong. We're challenging the consistency of the PGMOL based on things they have said in the past. That is the crux of this situation. The crux of this situation. I actually think if there's a touch, there shouldn't be a penalty. But my opinion on whether it's a foul or not is irrelevant based on the precedent set by Howard Webb. And 2 words he used in that opening clip. There was no reason, no evidence for the referee to back his original decision. This is my issue. The lack of consistency is killing the game. Let's take a little listen to this first clip here. I'm going to put this up. You can still hear me in the background, but this is from last year. To put context on this, this is when William Saliba conceded the penalty to Brighton when Saliba gets a touch on the ball, doesn't win possession of it, but follows through and the heads connect between the 2 players. By the way, which he said wasn't a coming together, I will add, which he said Nick Pope's was. Let's take a listen.
Pedro, that touch on the ball that you're referencing, Michael, doesn't negate the possible award of a penalty. We've seen other examples of where the ball might touch a player, touch a defender. There's still heavy contact on the follow-through, and it's a penalty.
So on that one here, he's saying that there's heavy contact on the follow-through, so it's a penalty. There may be a slight touch. With Nick Pope's, he's stating that there was a coming together, not a heavy follow-through, and is saying that because there was a slight touch, it can't be a penalty. And remember his words here. No nuance, no debate, no grey area. He said absolutely no reason that penalty should have been given. And someone said, well, Terry, you know, he plants his foot, the goalkeeper. That's why it's different. You can't compare it to a head clash in that way. Okay, my pedigree chum, if that's what you believe. It's just blurred in the beginning, but it will come out later because of copyright issues. But take a look at this. Take a look at this and have a listen.
Small touch there. He clipped.
So, I'm going to let you guys listen to my closing. This was Arsenal versus Brighton, ironically. Arsenal versus Brighton a year later as well. Lamptey here has made a touch on the ball. His foot has then planted into the ground. And then Gabriel Jesus has gone over. So let me just reiterate that to you, and I want to look at you guys in the face. So he touches the ball first. His foot then plants into the ground. Then the contact with Gabriel Jesus, the Arsenal player, happens. Okay? Then it happens. It's very, very important to remember that. Let's take a listen.
The ball there, as you see. Let's just have another look, because it is slight, but there's definitely a touch there. Now, is this what you're saying? This was given a penalty, wasn't it? I mean, he brought him down quite clearly, but there was a touch there. A lot of people will say, well, the defender touched it.
Yeah, and this, how ironic, it's the same game last year between the same two teams at the same place. Yeah, this was given as a penalty to Arsenal, fully accepted as such, because they see Jesus knock the...
Fully accepted as such. So Nick Pope, again, Nick Pope, no reason to give it. Nick Pope on Gyökeres, no reason, no evidence, no grey area, no debate, no reason. This one here is clear. There's no argument. They're almost identical, Howard. They're almost identical. One's a defender, one's a goalkeeper. But there is barely any difference. Barely any. In fact, the main difference is Gyökeres was about to round the goalkeeper and have a shot at an open net. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
Ball. Yes, it hits Lamptey's leg. Lamptey doesn't play the ball away.
Hits his leg. You notice they changed the words. Hits his leg, making a tackle. Both threw their legs out to try and win the ball and got slight touches. No football fan is being gaslit into believing they're fundamentally different.
It hits his leg, and then there's that follow-through onto Jesus, brings him down. Jesus was still moving onto that ball in the way that Pedro might have moved onto that ball as well. So
you hear that? Yes, that he took him down. Jesus may have gone onto the ball. Pedro might have gone onto the ball, but completely ignoring the fact that if there wasn't the contact from Pope onto Gyökeres, he would have gone completely through and on. Now, I know if you hate Arsenal, you're going to try and defend this, but I implore you to not make this about Arsenal Football Club. I implore you to make this about the consistency needed in this game. And I'm animated and I'm frustrated about this. One, I'm sick to my back teeth of the lies that come out of the PGMOL's mouth. Because for me, this is a lie. It's my personal opinion, okay? And I stand on it. I'm also sick and tired of rivals trying to make this into something it isn't. And every time you do it, you let these sons of guns... Yeah, I'm not going to change the phrase. You let these people off the hook. And it's only going to hurt your club at some point. Their incompetence, their inconsistencies, and their lies have to be exposed. You've seen it there. As far as I'm concerned, that is clear, unadulterated evidence that they pick and choose their explanations based on defending themselves and not the seeking of the truth and consistency within the game. And the fact that the mainstream media does almost nothing to call this out is completely unacceptable on every level. To debate and argue that these scenarios are so different from one another, I think in itself is intellectually dishonest at every level. Of course, there will be differences in each play, but let's use our brains. We're not stupid. This is where I get annoyed at football fans. I think the media, the middle class, upper class media, the television executives, and these associations look at us working class football fans, they think we're thick. Just because we have common accents like me, they think we're stupid. But this is where some of us annoy me, that we play into that stereotype by siding with them because we don't want to see Arsenal have this moment where they were robbed, or we don't want to see Liverpool be right in their complaints. We don't want to see Manchester United fans sort of bullish, or at least feel a little bit relieved that, oh yeah, everyone agrees that should have been a red card or that goal shouldn't have stood. We're so desperate to not see our rivals because of tribalism. It's not even success, but just have a moment of relief that we bunker down and act dumb. Oh, Terry, I think all these scenarios are really, really different, and I think it's so disingenuous to compare them. You don't believe that. Don't act the fool. Don't buy into their bollocks. We saw Rob Sanchez 2 weeks ago against Man United. Yes, his foot wasn't planted on the floor and it was up in the air, but he makes contact with the ball. Then makes contact with Mbeumo. It was given. Let's wait and see if this happens again in future, if the foot's planted. We've got an example of Tariq Lamptey's foot being on the ground as the contact is made. That was given, and we're told 100% it should have been a penalty. Then we see Nick Pope's, the completely opposite element. Now, I want to play another clip for you. Okay, and this is blurred the whole way because of copyright. But listen to what the commentators, and it sounds a bit off because somebody recorded this on their phone. But listen to what the commentator's saying because they can hear what the VAR is saying. They talk about referee's call. And remember that he said this? Howard Webb said how important referee's call is. Let's not ignore that. Referee's call, referee's call. This is how you know they lie through their back teeth. Take a listen to this.
We can hear the VAR talking to the referee, and he's having to really explain it time and again to Jared Gillett, who's still looking at the screen. It's not complicated, is it? It should be a penalty, that's it, end of story. You can kind of tell that the VAR is trying to guide Jared Gillett towards a position where he says, actually, no, my decision made in the best of faith in the instant is not correct. It's taken an awful lot of time to look at this, and we'll now hear from him.
You hear what they said there? The VAR was trying again and again and again to convince the referee to change his mind. What happened with the referee's call? The referee was happy with these. It sounds like, I can't wait to hear the recordings. Sounds like he was happy with his decision, but essentially being told, no, it's incorrect. My view is this. When you think of the Tariq Lamptey penalty, when you think of the João Pedro example, when you look at the penalty given just a week prior in terms of the timeline with Rob Sanchez, the idea that they are fighting so hard over a minuscule touch, which you could argue, again, this isn't my view, I think that we should always be looking for the minuscule touches, but they argue clear and obvious error. They're ignoring their own protocol of clear and obvious. They're ignoring their own protocol of referees' on-call decision. It's taking that long to come to a decision, and it flies in the face of 3 or 4 hugely controversial, hugely debated points in the past where they've gone in the other direction and said it was correct. Two completely opposing outcomes for exceedingly similar situations. But it's the words Howard Webb used. No reason, no evidence, should not have been given. The VAR screaming at the referee, and let me not exaggerate, telling the referee to change your mind, change your mind, change your mind. The commentators can hear it. And there is barely a person on earth who thinks that shouldn't be a penalty. I, by the way, just to add again, and this is going to confuse the silly people, the amoebas, the people that can't critically think. I think if a touch is made, I've always been of the belief that the penalty shouldn't be given. It should be seen as a tackle. But that isn't the rule. As Howard Webb said, that's why I'm saying my opinion on something doesn't matter. It's about the law and the rule. And he said it already. If you go to make a tackle and you make contact, but the attacking player is going to go past you anyway and get back onto the ball, and your follow-through takes them out, it's still a foul because you haven't dispossessed them. You haven't changed the direction of play. You haven't won the ball back. And you know what? That does make sense. It does make sense. Maybe I should change my own view. But again, like I said, your opinion, my opinion, whether it's the right rule, wrong rule, you'd like it this way, I'd like it that way, is all irrelevant. It's about the consistency, or in fact, now the inconsistency of these decisions. I want your views. I want your opinions on this, please. Leave your comments below. But for me, I'll say it again, they tried to rob Arsenal. They're lying about this situation. And if you stand there as a football fan and say nothing, you're complicit. Take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace!